The final prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was given many miracles throughout his life as well. When Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions were once traveling, their water supply ran out. According to one of his companions, the Prophet had a small container of water, in which he put his hand, and the water started spouting out between his fingers, like springs. So, we drank, and performed ablution. Even if we had been 100,000, that water would have been sufficient for us. Anyhow, we were 1,500. Events similar to this also occurred many times during his life. He treated his cousin, Ali, when he was inflicted with an eye infection. One of his companions said, the Prophet spat in his eyes, and invoked good on him, and he became all right, as if he had no ailment. During a period of severe drought in Arabia, one of Prophet's companions beseeched him to ask God to send rain. The Prophet raised his hands in prayer, and within moments a cloud appeared in the horizon, coming in their direction. One of his companions stated, when it came in the middle of the sky, it spread and then rained. By God, we could not see the sun for a week. After 7 days of non-stop rain, a Sahaba implored him to ask God to stop the rain, as the constant downpour was overwhelming. The Prophet raised his hands in supplication, and moments later, the sun gradually began to appear as the clouds parted, moving away from the area. Tree trunk crying. The Prophet used to stand on a tree trunk to deliver the Friday sermons. A Sahaba offered to build a proper pulpit for him, and the Prophet obliged. However, when he used it for the first time, a loud crying sound came from the tree trunk. Many of Prophet's companions witnessed this firsthand, and heard what sounded like a child crying. The Prophet descended from the pulpit, and embraced it until its weeping eventually subsided. He then explained to his companions, it was crying for missing what it used to hear of religious knowledge, given near it. The ability to stir emotions in plants and animals, including an inanimate object as in this instance, was one of many miracles granted to Muhammad, peace be upon him. Once, one of Muhammad's, peace be upon him, companions invited him, and a few others to a meal that could feed a small group. The Prophet accepted the invitation, and to the host's dismay, called all 1,000 of his companions to join him in the meal. Yet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, personally served all of them from the small dish, until each one ate his fill. In the end, the tray of food remained just as full as it was at the beginning of the meal. This was an amazing blessing and a clear miracle from God, which happened many times during his life. One of the most dramatic miracles took place in Mecca, when the disbelievers once challenged Muhammad, peace be upon him, to perform a miracle. He was inspired by God to point to the moon, which split into 2 completely separate halves. It remained that way for some time, before eventually converging back together. The disbelievers could not believe their eyes, and calling it magic. However, this miraculous, supernatural event was a crystal clear sign that Muhammad was indeed a prophet of God. ISRA refers to the night journey Muhammad, peace be upon him, undertook with the angel Jibreel, traveling from Mecca to Jerusalem shortly before his migration to Medina. This was a miraculous event, because it was humanly impossible to travel this distance in such a short period at the time. From Jerusalem, Muhammad, peace be upon him, ascended to the heavens in what is called MIRAJ, where he held communion with God. By the time Muhammad, peace be upon him, returned to Mecca, it was still night. When he told about his journey, people laughed. But a close companion, Sahaba, and first Khalifa, Abu Bakr, said, He tells me revelations come to him from heaven to earth, in 1 hour of day or night, and I know him to be speaking the truth. Foretelling the future. In addition to performing physical miracles, Muhammad, peace be upon him, also foretold many future events. For example, he mentioned, a time would come, when shepherds will compete in constructing tall buildings. This prophecy is clearly evident for all to observe, as it manifests itself in the Arab Gulf today. Until just a century ago, the Arabs in the Gulf region were in fact living a more primitive shepherd lifestyle, as compared to the rest of the world. This all changed with the arrival of massive oil wealth, in the mid-20th century, with much of the resulting wealth being invested in erecting skyscrapers across the region.